Hello, Flynns. I'm so sad I'm not there with you in Florida today. Instead, I'm here, stuck on the Isle of Britain. And so today, in honor of Judy, I will be holding a London Shadow Memorial, beginning here at Hampstead Heath, near to where she once lived, and perhaps ending at the Japanese restaurant that currently occupies the space of her once favorite local pub, the Belsize Tavern. And because I cannot be there with you, sharing countless memories of a life brilliantly lived, I just want to share a few words about my fabulous grandmother, with whom I had 30 wonderful years. While Judy was born in the Depression, she had the mindset of a millennial, caring less for things than experiences. When I was a child, she would send me those 99-cent photo albums packed with pictures of her riding elephants in Thailand or consorting with monks in Nepal. I believe she made me curious about the world, and she gained so much pleasure from the joys her children got from world travel. The Judy Scholarship, as we'll call it, was well used, from Liam's hardcore punk tour of Eastern Europe to Isabel's alpine adventures. As her eldest grandchild, I was the first to benefit from this tradition when, 17 years ago, Grandma took me to London and Paris. The impact this trip had on me was tremendous, evidenced by my fascination with old things and a persistent need to be in Europe. It was also a trip of many experiences. In Paris, Grandma taught me how to fend off gypsies and shake off an incident of petty theft. We also made a pilgrimage to Jim Morrison's grave, after which Grandma bought me my first ever beer. I was 13, but in her defense, I didn't look a day under 16. Plus, it's France. We were just two gals having a grand old time in Europe. That's until my mom had our photos developed and found a beautiful one of the two of us sat at an outdoor cafe in Montmartre, enjoying two crisp Pilsners. Judy was a woman of means and measure, ever scouting for a good deal at a Goodwill, and rarely missing 2-for-1 cocktail night at Carrabba's. Grandma could spot a good food trend. She was hot on Krispy Kremes before it was a thing in the 90s, was recommending Thai red curry in the early aughts, and took me to my first ever dim sum. Plus, she also introduced me to the Asian chicken salad at Applebee's, which is still the only thing I'll ever order at an Applebee's. It's delicious. The dressing is so lovely that Grandma once convinced the folks at the Sarasota Applebee's to sell her a 3-gallon jug of it from the stock fridge. She also made the best tuna salad with pickle relish, but that's off track. She was passionate about her politics, confidently driving her early model Prius amongst a community of country club Republicans. She campaigned for Obama in '08. She believed fiercely in the rights of women and equipped her daughters and granddaughters to live lives filled with choice. When I was in the 2nd grade, I was asked to interview a grandparent about the most important historical moment in their lives. That's easy, Grandma said. It was the birth control pill. When I was in my early 20s and particularly ambitious, Grandma worried that I would have to make a choice between a career and children, and so she offered to freeze my eggs. However, she later learned that it's really expensive and so politely rescinded the offer. But I appreciated the thought nonetheless. She instilled fundamental progressive values in her children. Dad, Sue, Joe, and Brian, you are all kind and compassionate people who have instilled values of community and charity in your own children. It's a rare thing to say that in this family, there isn't a single jerk or Trump voter. And so while many great American families spend the holidays on edge, we carry on with our sing-alongs, tennis tournaments, and competitive charades. And Grandma was fun, not in the typical grandma way. She was an all-around great hang. In my mid-20s, I included Grandma amongst my closest of girlfriends. And not in a sad way, I had plenty of friends my own age, but I would just find myself on the phone with her for hours, talking about feminism, trendy diets, whether she believed in aliens, whether we believed in God. And I don't think that's a typical grandmother-granddaughter relationship. She made me feel special and heard, and I think she did that for a lot of people. And while the last years of her life were difficult, I think she was pleased with the way she lived. She didn't live her life in a uniform way or on a particularly well-paved path. She grew and improved with each decade. She embraced new experiences and innovative ways of thinking. Some of her best years were spent abroad later in life, having adventures in Europe and Asia. We were once talking about all the fun she'd had when she was younger, and she noted how much her and Grandpa had partied in the 60s. Of course, Grandma, I said, it was the 60s. No, she corrected me. Not the 60s, in our 60s. And as someone who just turned 30, I appreciate that thought more than anything. Grandma had a great love in her life, Herbie. Well, that's a joke. Herbie was Grandma's high school boyfriend, and poor Herbie didn't stand a chance against Blue-Eyed Brian. I was fascinated by my grandparents' relationship because it was so authentic and lived in. Two fabulous people, so very different, who loved and respected each other fiercely. I even loved when they bickered, except for the college road trip we took before the invention of GPS. Judy was fast and loose as a co-pilot, and Brian respected an itinerary. Determined to have my own marriage of equals, I was very keen to have Grandma officiate my wedding. She was less keen, but as a loving grandmother and a graduate of Toastmasters, she took it on and absolutely nailed it. That's apart from the bit where she began the service before I walked down the aisle, but I didn't know about that till later, and so to me, she was absolutely brilliant. I'm sure you'll all make her proud today, as you've always done. She liked to say what a cool bunch we all were, and I think it's so true. The Flynn family, built on the legends that were Brian and Judy, is a perfect unit, composed of the most interesting and wonderful people. And there's no greater legacy than to leave a family that loves and supports one another. And so I'm sending you my love and support on this day. And with what will be one of her signature vodka tonics, I cheers to Judy.